Welcome to MMAPlay365. I'm Newsome and I'm here to give you a base AI recap from our UFC prediction software from last weekend's event at UFC 292. Across the straight pick prediction accuracy was 66%, which is 8 out of the 12, I believe. So again, average where the minimum where we like to be. Obviously, we do like to be up at the 70s and into the 80s, but yeah, 66%, that's sort of, where the average minimal percentages that we like to be at. Now, for this particular episode of the recap, we're going to be talking about 4 of the fights from last weekend at UFC 292. We've got 2 value spots, 1 solid winner, which is actually a real good gem as well. And then again, the rare one, we do have a bad losses recap as well, which again doesn't happen every week, but of course in this sport it does happen every now and again. I think it's sort of maybe 1 out of every 4, 5, maybe 6 events will have a real bad loss prediction where, I've looked at that pre-fight and thought, yeah, that's definitely not coming in, and then it plays out in that exact same way as well. And you can probably maybe guess to which fight that actually is before I've even spoken about it. But of course, we're going to start with the value section. And the first fight that we're going to talk about was the Ultimate Fighter 31 lightweight finale. We've got Kurt Holobaugh versus Austin Hubbard. Now, Kurt Holobaugh was actually the base AI dog of the week in the $1.99 dog of the week package, which has got your money back guarantee. I mentioned that quite a lot on these recaps, but Kurt Holobaugh was the highest percentage underdog out of the entire event at UFC 292 from base AI. So Holobaugh to win, base AI had at 61.53%. And again, when I go into the point percentages and I'm not rounding up or down, there's normally a reason for that, and there is, which we'll go on to next. But Holobaugh to win, base AI had at 61.53%. Now the odds implied on that percentage is minus 160, and you could have got Holobaugh anywhere from, he was roughly around plus 125 at opening and settled at around plus 130, plus 135. And I think it was on fight night, there was some money that came in on Hubbard. So Holobaugh went up to around plus 155. But even if you'd have took the worst possible line on Hubbard at around plus 125, base AI was saying that he should have been a moderate favourite, and you're getting a plus money number underdog on Kurt Holobaugh. So there's a ton of value there straight from the money line perspective. Now, Holobaugh to win inside the distance, so you add the knockout and you add the submission together, the percentages together, and you get the inside the distance, or Holobaugh to win by finish, or however your bookie has that market stated, was 61.26%. So you're only talking like a difference of like 20 odd, 0.20 odd percent between inside the distance and the win outright. Now at 61.26%, the odds implied is minus 158. So you can see the difference between the odds implied at minus 158 there to the money line, which was minus 160. There's only 2 cents difference, but the difference on the bookies, the odds, is plus 300. So there's a massive difference there between your plus 300 to your plus 125 / plus 155 for only 2 cents difference on the odds implied probability. And that was probably the best bet out of the two, because base AI was basically saying that it's very, very unlikely that Holobaugh wins a decision. If he wins, it's going to be inside the distance. Now, base AI did have the knockout higher than the submission, but it's one of those fights where, look, Holobaugh's got power, but the majority of his wins do come by submission. So it's almost like, which one do you pick? And it's a bit of a confusing one. And sometimes in those scenarios, if you don't want to bet the money line, it is always better just to not take a chance on a specific method of victory when there's not much between it from the records perspective, and just go for inside the distance. So there's plenty of value on the money line. There's plenty of value on inside the distance. And yeah, I think it was a solid prediction from base AI, ton of value. And again, if you're greedy and went for inside the distance, big plus 300 cash ticket. All in all, good job done by base AI. The next fight on the value section is the main event, or was the main event, the Bantamweight Championship with the new Bantamweight Champion, Sugar Sean O'Malley, versus Aljamain Sterling. Now, this is a value prediction in regards to it not being a correct prediction from base AI, but again, if you're using maths and numbers and odds implied probabilities, comparing it to the odds at the bookies, then this was a real good value spot. So Sean O'Malley from base AI was 46% to win the fight. So like I said, Baze wasn't picking O'Malley to win the fight, But what Bays was saying is it's very close to a coin flip. Now, at 46%, the odds implied is plus 117. So again, Bays AI is saying that O'Malley should and rightfully be an underdog, but he should only be a very slight underdog. Again, just outside of, well, not just outside, but closer to a pick'em than, a plus 200 underdog, which is what O'Malley actually was. So again, you take your plus 117 odds implied, you go to the bookies, and O'Malley closed at around plus 185, but the average line was around plus 200, plus 210. I think he went up to plus 225 at one bookie. So you're getting a good plus 2-1 number for a fight where Bays AI is saying it's very close to a coin flip. So there's a lot of value there. Now we can go one step further. We go inside the distance. So that's, again, the knockout, TKO, plus submission percentages added together for Sean O'Malley, and you get 33%. At 33%, the odds implied is plus 203. So it's still now a lesser line than the best line you can get on the money line, except you take your plus 203 to the bookies and you're getting anywhere from plus 270 to plus 300. So now there's some value in inside the distance. And if you don't want to play him straight and you don't think O'Malley's going to win a decision and you think he's going to, find that finish, then there's value in playing O'Malley to win by finish or win inside the distance, again, whichever way your bookie is stating that market. But we can go one step further on that as well. O'Malley to win by KO, TKO, 31%. So there's only 2% difference between the inside the distance and the KO, which means the submission percentage, of course, is very low. O'Malley would have been a shock, I think, if he'd submitted, an elite BJJ black belt in Aljamain Sterling. But at 31%, the odds implied is plus 223. And you take plus 223 to the bookies and you're getting anywhere from plus 300 to plus 370. So, look, if you're getting plus 300, you might as well just take the inside the distance where you're getting plus 300. But if you're getting up to plus 370, then that's a decision for you to make. But there was value on the knockout TKO for O'Malley. There was value inside the distance. There was value on the money line as well. So although it wasn't a technically correct prediction from Bays AI, again, when you're using numbers and math to make your bets and not just where Bays AI is saying a winner and a loser is going to be there, not picking winners and losers. If you bet with numbers, maths, implied probability, then there was plenty of value on that main event for Sean O'Malley versus Aljamain Sterling. And moving on to the solid winner section, where we're going to talk about one fight, and it's an absolute gem. We've got Karine Silva versus Maryna Moroz. Now, Karine Silva, Bays AI had at 57%. So at 57%, the odds implied is minus 133. Now, depending on when you bet Karine Silva throughout fight week, depends on if there was value and then how much value. So Karine Silva opened at around minus 250, I think, so obviously there's no value there. But she closed at minus 120. So if you'd got minus 120, minus 125, minus 130, then you would have got some value on Karine Silva's money line. If it's outside of that, then of course, the value is not there. Now, Silva to win inside the distance, again, you had the knockout, you had the submission together, which again, Silva's one of those fighters where, she's got power, but she's got a dangerous submission game. We saw her, hurt Maryna Moroz badly. She could have won that fight by knockout. Of course, she won it by submission. So it's one of them where some people would have thought, you know what, I'm not trying to split hairs. I'll just take inside the distance because that gives me any type of finish. Inside the distance was 52%. So there's only 5% difference between inside the distance and the outright win. And at 52%, the odds implied is minus 108. But the bookies, you're getting plus 160 to plus 170. So there's a ton of value there. So what this is good for is if you miss the value on Silva's money line, just take the inside the distance. Because Bays AI is saying that, look, there's only a 5% chance or less than 5% chance that Silva wins by decision. So take the inside the distance, get plus money, get a ton of value. Great prediction from Bays AI. We go one step further. Silva to win by submission. The submission was very close to the knockout percentage, but the submission was the preferred method of victory from Bays AI. So 27%, the odds implied is plus 270. You take that to the bookies, you're getting plus 225. So there's no value in the submission. So again, if you've missed your value on the money line, if you've got value on the money line, great. If you've missed it, go to inside the distance. If you're looking at Silva to win by submission at plus 225, no value there. Go back to the inside the distance where your value is. But it was a correct prediction nonetheless. We go one step further though, Silva to win by submission in round one specifically. Of course you did, with only 1 second left in the round. Silva to win by submission round 1, 22%. So there's only 5% difference again between the round 1 submission and the submission outright. At 22%, the odds implied is plus 355, but you're getting plus 600, a 6-to-1 ticket at the bookies. So again, if you're wanting a method of victory, if you're adamant that you're going to bet that method of victory, don't go for the submission because there's no value there. Just go for the submission round 1. Maybe play a little bit less money, but you're getting value. You're getting a bigger betting ticket. So all in all, an absolute gem prediction from Base AI where there's a ton of value, in different places, some more value spots than others. But yeah, a really, really solid prediction from Base AI there. And the last fight that we're going to talk about, I mentioned this in the introduction. Unfortunately, there is one in the bad losses section. But like I said, from time to time, look, when Base is picking 12 to 15 fights every single week, there's going to be every now and again a prediction that's not quite right. And there's one here, and it was actually in the women's strawweight championship fight between Zhang Weili and Amanda Lemos. Base AI had Weili to win at 47%, Lemos to win at 53%. So yeah, when I looked at this pre-fight, I was like, yeah, I really wish the bookies agreed with Base AI here, because I'd have laid ridiculously heavy on Zhang Weili to win the fight, because at 47%, Base AI is saying that Zhang Weili should have been a plus 113 underdog, which again is nuts. Of course, Zhang Weili was minus 300 to minus 350. Lemos to win at 53%. Base AI is saying, again, this is without the bookies margins, Base AI is saying that Lemos should have been a minus 113 slight favourite, but of course, Lemos was plus 250, plus 300, and Zhang Weili absolutely ran through her round by round. I think it was the biggest strike differential ever in the UFC. It was like 200 plus strikes to Lemos's like 30 or 40 or whatever it was. It was absolutely ridiculous. Zhang Weili, complete dominance, and yeah, it made the prediction look pretty bad. But again, this is AI, this is technology, and when Base AI is picking 12 to 15 fights every week, every now and again something's going to flag up like this, and this is just one of those unfortunate situations. But that's all for the recap from UFC 292. Of course, we'll be back next week, for another recap from Base AI from this weekend's event at UFC Singapore. I'm Newsome, thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next week.